you know that we love you.
This is our Myths and Folktales category. Oh, this is me first. Okay. So I picked the myth of Narcissus and Echo. Just a quick little rundown. So basically, Echo was a nymph, and she liked to talk a lot. She liked to blabber and talk rumors and stuff. And one day she was like with Zeus and like, you know, doing the Zeus thing. And Hera starts coming up, and Zeus is like, oh fuck, she's gonna like kill us. You gotta like stall. So Echo goes up to Hera and she's like, hey, you're hot and your hair looks nice and stuff. And Zeus escapes, and Hera's like, I know what you did. You suck, and since you like to blabber so much, I'm gonna make it so that all you can do is blabber. And so she cursed her so that all Echo could say was the endings of what other people said. Hence, Echo. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Audience participation, oh yeah. So Echo goes into the woods, she's all depressed now, but she finds this dude, and he is the hottest mamma jamma anyone has ever seen. Hottest dude in Greece. No one's ever seen someone this hot. And she goes up to him, and she is like, and he's like, what? And she's like, what? And he's like, and he's like, I don't want to talk to you. And she's like, talk to you. And he's like, what's going on? So basically he rejects her, and she's all depressed, and she goes and she talks to some other nymphs, and all these other nymphs have also been rejected by this dude. Like, he just turns them all down. And so these nymphs are like, hey, god of getting back at people, can you like get back at this guy because he rejects us all? And she's like, sure. So she like zaps him with some magic, and now he's obsessed with looking at himself because he's the most hot dude ever. So he decides while he's wandering through the forest that he's thirsty. So he goes to this pond, and like he goes to drink and sees his reflection, and he's just enamored by it. And so he just like can't take his eyes off of his reflection. And he like tries to grab it, and like, of course, since it's water, the second he goes, it ripples away. So he's just staring at it and staring at it and staring at it. And Echo is just watching this whole thing because she loves him, whatever. And so he's trying to get closer and closer and closer to himself because he's just so in love. And he ends up falling into the lake, and he drowns. But in his place grows this beautiful flower called the narcissus flower. But that's where we get the term narcissistic, because of this asshole.
Great.
So yeah, that was my myth.
Okay, so I chose banshee. That's the Irish word. It's pronounced banshee. We call them banshees in English. It's an Irish myth about a woman that's dressed in a gray, white hood, and she appears in like different types of disguises of either like this old hag or like this matron mother or this like beautiful young woman. And she predicts the deaths of people. And so like she roams the Irish countryside and wails anytime someone's about to die. And then once she's died, like once the person's died, the loved ones believe that these fairy like people take their loved ones to the afterlife and get them there safely. And so she never causes death. She just predicts it's gonna happen, and she announces it to the family so that they know that it's coming and that they know their loved one's going to die. And so they're also referred to as like a woman of the fairy now. So like they're a fairy spirit woman. And that's not meant for the banshee.
So I chose a little bit of a different approach. I tried to find things that were closer to us as individuals. So this is actually the Crybaby Bridge in Columbus, Georgia. And they say that when you go over there, you actually hear like a baby crying. Like it's loud, and there's multiple like myths about it. Like a young mother who didn't want her child, so she threw him off the bridge and he drowned. Or there was a crash in 1959, and a newborn baby died right on the bridge. So I thought it was just really cool because it's close to us, and just to think of I think it would put an effect on the audience because it's so close to home. But that's my opinion.
Now we're on urban legends and lore. Oh, I get to go first again. Sweet. So this guy, his name is Robert Johnson. he was a blues musician, and when he first started playing guitar, people were like, wow, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. He was getting noise complaints from like neighbors saying that it was just like literally the worst sound they'd ever heard. He was like, damn, that sucks. So he went to this famous Crossroads place, and he just stood there for a super long time. So he disappeared, right? And legend has it that he went to these crossroads, stood there for a super long time, until someone approached, and it was the devil, and he was like, listen, I want to be a super good musician. And the devil was like, cool, I just need your soul. And he was like, sounds good. So he gave him his soul, he gave him being really good at music. And so when he finally returned and people found him again, he was the best guitar player anyone's ever heard. There was a famous musician, I can't remember his name, but he was like, he is on like account saying that like this guy, when he played guitar, it sounded like there were two guitars being played and stuff like that. Super cool, actually happened, but maybe not the devil stuff, but really cool. I thought it was dope.
My turn. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the god of the siesta. So this is a tradition from Paraguay. It's pretty much a scare tactic to get children to behave. It's about this god of the siesta looks for children who would rather play than take a nap. So it's something that parents would tell their kids that if you won't take a nap, you just want to play around, that the god of the siesta is going to come get you. And it's often depicted as a child with long, light-colored hair, or, to be completely opposite, a small man who takes children prisoner and takes their eyes so they cannot find their way back home. Two sides, completely opposite sides of it, but both have been told, and it's all by parents passing it down to their children, who pass it down to their children. So pretty much take a nap. That's it.
Oh, okay. So again, I try to stay closer to home, and we went on tour last semester for the choir. We went to Charleston, and I learned about the night hag or the boo hag, and it's this demonic woman who has no skin whatsoever, and she'll crawl into your house. She can get into like just the keyhole of the door, crawls into your house, crawls into your bed, gets on top of you, and literally sucks your breath out of you, so your life force, so you're not sleeping well. And if you wake up, since she has no skin, she will rip your skin off and use it as hers, so she can go about the day. But the cool thing about her is that if she comes in and you put like a broom, like an old-fashioned broom with the actual bristles, she thinks that's human hair. She'll play with that and leave you alone. But the South Carolina truly believes, especially in Charleston, they have sleep clinics and deprivation clinics because people truly believe that the hag rode them at night, that it's like paralysis. And I just thought it was really cool because like we went on a ghost tour, and this was apparent. Like the lady who, she's lived in Charleston her whole life, and she's like, it's true. Like, this is true. And I just thought it was really cool, but that's it.
Claims of truth.
Oh, I did it first again, you guys. But don't worry, this is my last one. So, for claims of truth, I was like, I'll do a conspiracy theory that I like. So, I'm assuming you guys have heard of the movie The Shining.
Yeah.
So, directed by Stanley Kubrick, who's a super famous dude. But a lot of people say that Stanley Kubrick also helped fake the moon landing, and he was the big guy behind the faking of the moon landing. And a lot of people say that the facts to support that are actually in the movie The Shining. And there's a documentary called Room 237, which goes into like a bunch of conspiracy theories about The Shining. But the one that I thought was the coolest was the moon landing one. So just like a few things from it. One of the famous quotes is like, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, and stuff like that. And this one was a stretch to me, but they were like, he says all because if you write down ALL, it's like A11, like Apollo 11. Okay. But if you go down to the next slide, I put some stuff in it that I was like, oh shit, cool. So this is one of the main characters, Danny, and there's a scene the whole movie, they're like, there's this room 237, which isn't the same room number as it was in the book, which is why people are like, oh, room 237, don't go in it, don't go in it, don't go in it. In the scene where Danny actually goes to room 237, he is in this Apollo 11 space shuttle sweater. And he goes to room 237, and the reason that it's changed from whatever it is in the book to 237 is 237,000 miles is the distance from Earth to the moon. So he goes, and in the scene, he stands up, and he takes this journey all the way to room 237, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then something else is the, so we have 237. The aspect ratio of the movie is 1.37 by 1, and so 1 and 1, 237. And then the runtime of the film is 22337.
And then my claim to truth is the Georgia Guidestones. So these are in Elberton. They were created in 1980. No one knows who paid for them. They were paid for anonymously by a man to be built for some reason that was never disclosed. But pretty much on the Georgia Guidestones, inscribed into them in 8 different languages are 10 guidelines that are believed to be a set of rules for humanity. So a few examples that are written on it are, these have been translated. So maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Rule, passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. So it has stuff on it like that. So people believe that it's a set of rules for humanity. They also believe that it's telling the future. They've talked about how it's a guideline to us rebuilding after the apocalypse. But people also believe that the New World Order and the Satanists are promoting their agendas via the Georgia Guidelines. So people believe a lot of things about them. Fantastical creatures and where to find them. This is also me. Thank you. I also look like that. The Yaramayahu is so this is an Australian Aboriginal mythology. It's very similar in the same vein of vampires and boogeymen and drop bears, which are things that drop from trees or drop from distances down. So this is as you can see, and he's a frog-like man with red skin, big head, large mouth with no teeth, and he has suckers on his hands and feet. So pretty much what he does is he hangs out in fig trees, and he waits for someone to take a nap below at the bottom of the fig tree. He jumps down and sucks their blood, and after he's done draining their blood, he swallows them, drinks some water, takes a nap, wakes up and spits them out, and does it all again. But when he spits out the person after drinking the water, taking a nap, the person is a little bit shorter and a little bit redder. And well, then he does it again, and that's what makes more of them. So the best way to like trick it is they only like live prey, so you just play dead. Or avoid fig trees.
But if you're asleep,
you can talk to the Australians, which is not me.
Okay, so I chose a Wendigo.
Wendigo.
Okay, so they are like, it's a mythical creature that is actually from a bunch of different Native American tribes. And so they are said to possess people and turn them into cannibals because they have this like forever hunger that they can't quench until they eat another human. But once they like turn them into a cannibal, they join this tribe and they lure them in by like mimicking human voices, and they're like, come to me, and then they turn them into a cannibal. And so they're thought to be like almost 15 feet tall. It's like this thing's like running towards you and just captures you and turns you. But they were blamed in like Native American disappearances. So like if people would disappear, they would blame these creatures on making them disappear and turn into cannibals. And but yeah, they're just creepy, and they eat people and turn them into cannibals. And they're said to like be all skin and bones, so it's all like just a skeleton-like thing covered in skin coming towards you. That's all those.
Okay, so we have a Loch Ness Monster in the U.S., if y'all didn't know this. This is in Georgia. And the first sighting by a non-native, because sorry, because in McIntosh County, is that right? I don't know. Macintosh? Anyway.
Macintosh.
Okay. All these people, when the first sighting started around 1800, and they were like broadcasting this, like, guys, like, we have a creature, and they're like freaking out, and nobody believed them. It took 30 years, and finally someone that wasn't native to their county or Georgia saw it, and they freaked out, and it blew out of proportion. It was in newspapers and everything. Apparently it gets over 70 foot long, about as big as like a huge like sized barrel like that they used to put beer in. And they said it looked like an alligator, but in the articles it was like a long eel with huge fins. And most people believe it's just a giant eel, but it was 10 years ago. They had another sighting, and they announced it 10 years ago in a local newspaper there, and they said that he has friends now. So,
That's so sweet.
but yeah.
All right, so real fast, I'm going to tell you about this cool stuff that we, and by that I mean I liked.
Baby train.
You ever heard of the baby train?
No.
No. Okay, so this is an urban legend slash a rumor slash a common occurrence.
What?
So the rumor that it stems from is a small town, and I believe that this was also Australian based, at least for this rumor. A small town is a train that passed through it at 5 a.m. and like blew its whistle and woke them all up. And it was too early to go to wake up. And it was too late to go back to bed. So they entertained themselves. And 9 months later, there was a mini baby boom in this town. And the only reason I bring it up is for the common occurrence is because it has happened recently. It happened in 1965. There was a blackout. There was, after the 9/11 attacks, there was a baby boom, a mini baby boom. And then the days after hurricanes and tornadoes and big storms like that, 9 months later, there have been like mini baby booms that like you track through history. It all stems from the baby train. I don't know how it would be in Dubai. I just really wanted to share.
It's an entire.
I tried to do a lot of Australian stuff, so the end.